Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and let me tell you what, for over 2 years, we've been fighting the good fight on Twitter and social media because we knew that there was something that was just not right with this whole SEC versus Ripple case. We've watched the Bitcoin, Ethereum people sit on the sidelines like they didn't care because it was happening to Ripple and it was happening to XRP, and they didn't give a rat's behind until in the last week, the SEC has turned it on them. And make no mistake, they've turned it on them because because of all the video and the timelines and everything else that we've found. And they realized, I believe, that the SEC realized that there was no path forward without treating Ethereum, at least giving it the appearance of treating Ethereum in a similar fashion, the way they've treated XRP. And I don't think these Ethereum and Bitcoin people ever thought that day would come. And guess what? Today, on this video, you're going to see what capitulation looks like. All of a sudden, they're all wanting to pat Ripple on the back, pat Brad Garlinghouse on the back, and play nice. And that's fine. It's all fine and good. But just remember, because I've learned in life, look, you're going to meet a lot of two-faced people in your life. But guess what? As long as you know that they're two-faced, it's fine. You can work together. You can work for a common goal. But just don't forget who they are, because that's what you're seeing today. And you need to see, oh man, I've got some clips for you today. Watch. Now, CoinPaprika.com has been all over the place. They are one of my sponsors. They've been all over the place today in the prices of different digital assets. And the reason is because of this. The Fed decision, Federal Reserve votes to hike interest rates by 75 basis points. XRP has been up as high as 7% today. Let me look at my phone here, because it was up pretty good today. Right now it's sitting there at, where do we have it? It's at 40 cents, but it jumped up. I think it was at like 42 or 43 cents. There's something going on with XRP. Now, I want to remind everybody, they say Ripple could well return to its pre-December 2020 status in the next 90 days, and potentially a lot earlier if a settlement occurs. That would mean our continued ability to acquire Ripple shares in quantity and at relatively low prices is not assured. First come, first served. Now, the link, I'm about to show you video from Brad Garlinghouse that will make you bullish. He's going to talk about all these things we talk about all the time. In his own words, he was at Messari today on stage with Ryan Selkis. You're going to love it. So just remember, the link to that is in the top of the description. Go click on that and tell them DAI sent you. They've got Ripple equity up there, and I don't know how much longer it's going to last, but it's up there. Now, before I saw the interview with Ryan Selkis and Brad Garlinghouse, this was a comment I made. Because I was watching some of the other people. I watched the Jeremy Kaufman from Library. There was a great clip I put out of him. Go to my Twitter feed and you'll see it. This guy this guy's got some guts. He had an F the SEC shirt on up there. It was funny. But and then Kristen Smith from the Blockchain Association was up there gushing about, oh, how great Ripple's done and all. I was literally watching all these people, and they're falling in line because they finally realize what John Deaton tried to tell them all along, is that they're coming for you too. Okay, these guys are coming for you too, and they're not going to give you any guidance. They're just going to come. Okay, so I said, watching Messari, and it's amazing to watch all these Ethereum ideologues all of a sudden embracing Ripple now that the SEC is mentioning Ethereum being in danger. John Deaton tried to warn them and they laughed. They aren't laughing now. I assure you they're not laughing now. And you know what else? Ryan Selkis isn't even 0.1% as arrogant as he was before ETHgate. I can promise you that. And I want you to think this through for a minute, because we've shown you all the video. These people were there early, folks. They were all in the room when ConsenSys and all these people involved in ETHgate were having their meetings and getting together and finding out information that you and I didn't know. All these people were there. I want you to watch how fast Ryan Selkis separates himself from Joseph Lubin. And remember, Ryan Selkis was at ConsenSys. Okay? He was there. He worked there. Watch how he separates, because this is what's interesting. Ryan Selkis was playing nice in this whole thing. And Brad Garlinghouse, in this little clip, he lets him know, oh, you want to go there? Because I know. And I've said this on my videos for a while now. Brad Garlinghouse is think about the position this guy's in. This guy, he probably didn't have any idea how much had gone on behind the scenes, and all these Twitter sleuths and all these people went and started finding all these clips and piecing all this stuff together. And these people are so arrogant that they said these things at live events, because it's like the bank robber that thought he got away with it. Well, they always talk to somebody. Even the attorneys in this thing talk to somebody. Listen to this.
And I spent a little bit of time with your team talking about this, back then.
He's referring to how he talked to Ripple way back when, I guess, I'm not sure the dates, but he was talking to them to formulate his opinion on XRP and Ripple.
And even before 2017.
Well, the closest comparison in that era, I think, was a company you worked at, ConsenSys.
If that's not a shot fired right there, nothing is. Brad Garlinghouse knows full well that ConsenSys is right over the target, because those guys, ETHgate, the whole thing. There's a reason Joseph Lubin is not here, folks. There's a reason Joseph Lubin doesn't talk so much anymore. Watch it again.
Back then and even before 2017.
Well, the closest comparison in that era, I think, was a company you worked at. ConsenSys, the company, was building on top of the Ethereum ecosystem and owned Ethereum. And I think was a relatively speaking, the most comparable. ConsenSys is to...
See, now there's two things. First, he doesn't want to be associated with that at all. Second, he knows that Brad Garlinghouse is doing the setup to say, oh, you want to talk about centralized ownership over here at Ripple? What about the disguised whales? And, Joseph Lubin's never been transparent about what ConsenSys has, or the Ethereum Foundation. Well, that's why those are the two reasons why he separates himself. Watch.
As ETH was to XRP. And that both companies were active in those ecosystems trying to drive adoption.
Well, I was only at ConsenSys for like 8 weeks, so I'll let Joe fight that battle.
Yeah, but I'll get myself out of this. Then there's this, where he brings up the Hinman Test. Listen to this exchange. And I'm not going to talk through this. I'll let it flow.
You have that as part of your strategy, at times unfavorable comparisons to Ethereum, right? Okay. If the SEC is giving us this guidance that we were a security issuer and we should have known for all this time, how do you explain the Hinman Test?
But the Hinman Test, which, just so everyone's on the same page, Hinman gave a speech saying that decentralization was a measure of whether or not something is security.
Yes.
That's not what the law says.
That was a single speech of his, exactly.
That was just a Hinman opinion, I guess.
Yeah. Still, that was kind of perceived as Ethereum's getting away scot-free, even though they did this token sale. There was actual documentation. There was a white paper. They
did an ICO.
Right? And on the one hand, you said there shouldn't be so much tribalism. On the other, you have frequently contrasted Ripple, XRP, and the situation there with everything that happened.
Brad Garlinghouse had no choice but to contrast it, because they knew something wasn't right here. I don't know if Brad Garlinghouse and them knew exactly how much had gone on behind the scenes that some of the Twitter sleuths have found, but they knew that they had to know that there was some kind of corruption going on in this thing. Had to have.
Between Ethereum, the asset, the Ethereum Foundation.
And Selkis is trying to frame that as Brad Garlinghouse being tribalistic, but that's not it at all. None of us this never was about tribalism. I own Ethereum. I don't own Bitcoin right now, but that's because doesn't do anything. I own Ethereum. This has never been about destroying Ethereum. This has been about destroying the collusion and corruption that's gone on and having a level playing field. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants to talk about it. These people did this. They got together and they were doing all this stuff. They just didn't think we'd figure it out.
ConsenSys.
Well, so let me be. I'm going to set the record
strategy
straight.
there. Yeah.
I personally own Bitcoin. I personally own Ethereum. I personally own XRP. Mm-hmm. I am long all of those digital assets and some others. My comparison, my attitude is Bill Hinman, as the director of CorpFin, got in front of the world and gave a speech saying, we think ETH was a security, transitioned to a non-security because of a decentralization framework. I looked at that and I remember sending an email internally at Ripple. I was like, hey, this is good news. XRP, is a decentralized open source digital asset. Ripple, the company, only controls a very small percentage of the validators on the network. This is, again, the law doesn't actually say what Bill Hinman says, but if that's how the SEC is going to measure this, then that's good. So my drawing the contrast is simply, why would the SEC, why would a government entity, when XRP at the time that the SEC started their investigation was the second most valuable asset, why would they be picking winners and losers? It's just not the role of a government. Well, not a capitalistic, not a democracy government. There's other governments around the world that might be in that business, but. And
now, of course, apparently Ethereum is going back to not sufficiently decentralized because of the merge. The cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is kind of like, how in
That's interesting. We say that on this channel a lot.
the world can they say, because it went from proof of work to proof of stake, now all of a sudden it went back to being a security? Mm-hmm. It
makes perfect sense to me.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's one of I'm not saying you heard it from me, but I'm just saying that's one of the things I say a lot on this channel. Now, here Brad Garlinghouse addresses the settlement, summary judgment, trial, kind of what he's thinking.
How does this get resolved, right? Are you pot committed at this point to actually get a jury trial or some type of precedent-setting action? Or is there a situation where you all would settle? Because I think everybody at this point is hoping that you go down with a fight, go the distance.
So, I'll say up front, I'm not the lawyer, but I've learned, unfortunately, more than I'd ever want to know about this. I very much doubt there will be a jury trial. And the reason is juries are used to figure out what the facts are. In this case, the facts really aren't in dispute. Right, we agree. Ripple sold XRP.
That's John Deaton right there. Facts are not in dispute.
Compensation at XRP, and I sold XRP. Those facts aren't in dispute. What's not clear is the law. And so what the government is saying, what we're saying with these recent filings of a motion for summary judgment is, look,
folks, let me give you just a little aside right here. Brad Garlinghouse isn't saying these things that you recognize for no reason. This guy's paying attention. You out here that are retweeting and finding video and doing all this stuff, and everybody that's listening to my voice who's been plugged into this and involved and helping to get the word out and all of this, you've literally helped to change the world, and you should know that. He's not repeating these catchphrases for no reason. He's repeating them because he knows how important what all the people on Twitter and social media have done to help get the truth out and to fight the good fight. He knows. He does. He's not saying, he knows what John Deaton's saying. He's watching. He knows all about it. And I'm not saying I know that because he said something to me. It's not that. I don't talk to Brad Garlinghouse like that. I'm just saying he knows. You can just tell in the things he says, little things here, little things there. I don't think they're talking about cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in San Francisco. They heard it somewhere in social media, I imagine. But anyway, the point is that you people that are listening to my voice that are involved in this and know what we're talking about here, you've helped to freaking change the whole game. Without the people in social media, this thing isn't even close to where it is. These guys aren't inviting Brad Garlinghouse to Messari. They hate him, or they did. they hate everything that Ripple is. There was a whole consortium that was fighting against what Ripple was doing. And it's literally like they've been brought to their knees here, folks. What a great, and it's not that anybody wanted to bring anybody to their knees. That's not what this is about. It's about a level playing field. And because of what everybody that's listening to my voice has done, and because of what we've all done, we brought it to this point. We played an integral role in it. And you should be proud of yourselves.
The facts as they are, just rule on the law. So by mid-November. I'll also comment briefly that the SEC has been trying to delay this thing every chance they have. We believe that by mid-November...
They want to pick off smaller fish first. Yeah.
Well, they're trying to set precedent. I mean, some of you following the library case, which is super interesting to follow, and I applaud the leaders there for some of their humorous tweets, which I never will click on I like because someone's watching everything I do, but I do sometimes like them.
I think you just outed yourself.
Anyway, they're trying to delay it. By mid-November, we should have the motion for summary judgment fully briefed in front of the judge. Then the question is, how long does the judge take to make a ruling? We don't know. It could be as little as 2 months. It could be as little as much as 6 to 8, 9 months. But I think the full case will be in front of the judge, and I doubt that you would have the judge come back and say, no, there's a dispute on the facts, let's have a trial. I don't think there needs to be a trial, and both the government and Ripple are saying we don't need a trial, just here are the facts, you should rule. And again, the fact is the SEC has to first prove that there's an investment contract. Mm-hmm. If there's an investment contract, then you apply the Howey test. And I don't think they can get past the investment contract, but if you apply the Howey test, I think they're also going to fail because there's a lot of people who buy XRP who've never heard of Ripple, and that's okay. But to the idea that XRP is a security of Ripple, I just think is nonsense.
Now, the one thing he didn't mention there is you still got those Hinman emails hanging out there. And the SEC doesn't want that shown. Now, this is Brad Garlinghouse, and I may cut this one in half, but he's talking about how Selkis is asking him, well, how did this all unfold? I mean, and this is basically Brad Garlinghouse talking about how the SEC said, come in and see us, and then they turn around and sue him. Listen to this.
Did you get a sense post-ICO crash in some of your interactions with the SEC that things were starting to trend in the wrong direction? Or up until the day that things went sideways?
No, we had a sense. I mean, look, so I remember when I first met with the SEC, the SEC had set up this innovation group run by a woman named Val Sapanic, and she became kind of the crypto czar. And they were purportedly just, hey, we want to understand. We went in to kind of just educate them. Frankly, as I was going around the world, meeting with central bankers around the world, talking to them about here's how Ripple's solution works. Here's the kind of customers we're signing. Here's how we use XRP. Mm-hmm. We are one participant in the XRP ecosystem. And so the first meeting I had, Jay Clayton was there, and not once did anyone say to me in this meeting that, and by the way, again, no lawyers from Ripple were there. It was me and David Schwartz. And there's never even a suggestion that XRP was a security. And I thought it was a very constructive meeting just to talk about how Ripple was using XRP and how the whole kind of crypto landscape, looked. Now, to your question, when did we get a sense that the tone had shifted? About a year after that, we got a letter, and now lots of people have gotten these letters. In my judgment, the SEC has gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and blasting out these investigative letters. But the first letter we got was simply hey, we're looking into this. It's informal. We want your voluntary cooperation. And there's a sentence in there that says, we've made no determination about what we view XRP as, but we want to, blah, blah, blah. Now, what's interesting about that is that happened, I think, in 2019.
Let me make another comment here. I've been watching this guy for years now. One thing I've learned about Brad Garlinghouse is he throws little bones to the XRP community every once in a while, and so what you'll hear him make a comment that's used in XRP social media, and I think that's kind of like his way of giving a shout out.
We got that letter, and we're like, oh, okay, more active engagement. We're happy to cooperate. And again, one of the ironies here, and I know you're pacing how we get into the lawsuit, but in that letter, it references there's been no determination made. Yet they sued us and me personally, suggesting that from 2013 to 2020, I should have known the whole time that XRP was a security. My attitude is I was in your office multiple times. Not once did someone tell me that they viewed XRP as a security. So it's a little bit, I think, and the judge involved in the case, and now I'm getting kind of in the deep end here.
If I'm the judge, I just throw it out with that right there. I'm like, you people, quit wasting my time. I'm running way over here. I do want to show you this before I go. Surge in German imports, and don't forget, folks, this transition is not just going to involve digital assets like XRP. Gold is going to be a critical part of it. Surge in German imports from Russia. Gold purchases more than tenfold. Gold purchases more than tenfold, while silver imports jumped almost 5 times. That's why my sponsor, Glint, I keep talking about. This will be the link to this will be at the top of the description of this video. I buy physical gold and I buy gold in my Glint account. Simple as that, and that's the fact, Jack. And click on the link up there and tell them DAI sent you. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that Brad Garlinghouse was talking settlement, summary judgment, but not